Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I would jump on early and just while I'm setting up, talk to you about what we're gonna do tonight. So I'm just setting up some of the photos and the stories for when we get going in about 4 minutes. But it's been a crazy day. There has been so many updates to so many random threads that we've had over the last 3 months. There's been all these different. Why today of all days? I don't know. Apparently, Wednesday in America is press conference day or update day or something. But there's been all these different sort of loose threads that we've had over the last couple of months, and they're all getting updates today, including out of Philadelphia, Connecticut, and Canada and Ontario. So we've had like a bunch of different things happen. This one out of Philadelphia, though, it just gets worse and worse. This one is at RC Horsch and two missing women. But what is weird about the update that came out today is they are talking about two missing women that are not the two missing women that they originally were looking for. So that is spooky. They thought they would find these two other women, and now they've found what they believe is video evidence of two other women. Jeez. Oh, I don't envy the poor cops who are doing all this work on that other investigation. I really don't. They sound like they're having a really hard time. I can't remember how many search warrants there are, but it's over 200. Like they've executed over 200 search warrants at this address, and they reckon they have found no physical bodies have been found on the property, but they've found over 500,000 images, 70,000 videos, and 10,000 pages of text and or drawings. That's insane. How would you even go through this? How would you even like know where to begin looking in this giant trove of evidence? And what's more disturbing is that there was two women that were missing, a woman called Amy McHale and then a another woman called Blair Tonzelli, and they believe that the state police came out today and said they believe Blair Tonzelli will never be seen again. They believe Blair Tonzelli is dead, which leads you to believe that if this woman's dead and these other women are dead, what does that say about Amy McHale? I think the only thing you can come up with Amy McHale is that most likely she suffered a similar fate to these three other women. But I have a problem with this. Half of these were when his father were alive. So is it some sort of like sick game? Like father and son? Son took after dad and went into the killing women business? Like, I don't really understand exactly what's going on with that one, but we'll look more into it in a minute. This one here, this is the house from Ontario. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because this house is where the body of a woman was found inside of the home. Not like she walked in the door and then died and they found her body. No, no, no. They were demolishing this property and then they found her body concealed inside the property somewhere. Now they haven't said where they found her. They're just saying that she was under something, whether that's a floor, a slab, soil, uh, wood, I don't know, but that is basically what they're saying, that they found her under something. And I'll show you a photo. There's her photo. Now you might be going, Ping, why are you showing us a picture of the old house? Because I wanted to show you, for at least a period of time, people were living here. And you go, yeah, okay, of course, it's a home. People probably live there. Yes, but I'll show you another photo. Where is that other one? For a long period of time, it was dilapidated like this. But between it looking like this, for a random period of time, it started looking more lived in. And it looked like there was someone for a few years trying to look after the property. And now it looks like this. It's not there anymore. They've knocked it down. That's how they found the body. But before it was knocked down, it looked like that. So there was most likely someone either living here without permission. Maybe they were, um, squatting on the property, most likely, something like that. Because, yeah, here, this one. Look at this. Back in like 2012, someone was taking care of this property. You can see the difference between the years. Look, there's even a person or something here at the front door. But the house had some sort of improvements done to it at some point. And like one of these photos, I think it's this one. This one was taken before the last photo. So it was all dilapidated and run down. Someone was mowing the grass every so often, but then eventually someone tried to live in it. You can tell like this is well manicured. They've cut down all the long grass and trees and that, and it's really looking like a normal home. And there's a car parked out the front too. That's the thing you'll notice. If I go back here, there's also another sports car parked on the side here. If you look down in that right-hand corner, there's another kind of sport looking car parked down there too. And in a bunch of the photos, there's always some sort of sleek sports car parked on that right-hand side. So I don't know if it has anything to do with this missing woman, but just an observation from me that while it was supposed to be dilapidated and no one was supposed to be living there was obviously someone. I don't know if they were, not supposed to be there, but there was obviously people in that home. All right, this woman here is the woman that they have identified that was inside that home. Now, her name is Brenda Marie LeBlanc, and she is from Niagara. They had to use genetic genealogy to, of course, to figure out who the remains belong to. And they're saying here, her remains were discovered at a vacant property in Niagara Falls, Ontario, that had been a rental residence until 2018. Police are investigating her death as a homicide and seeking information about her activities in the mid 1990s. So she was born in 1963, was identified again through genetic genealogy, and that the Niagara Regional Police Service only gave a press update on Wednesday, August 12th, after they figured out who she was. But the remains were discovered at that property in November of 2023. The home had been um, sort of divided up into a multi residential rental properties. So they sort of divided up sections of the home and rented it out. This had taken place from the late 1970s all the way up until 2018. Then it was vacated. Several people unlawfully entered the property and had been living there. So, like I was saying before, could there have been someone trying to keep it looking nice on the outside so no one came looking at the property? Investigators initially determined the remains belonged to an adult woman and had likely been at the property for years, possibly dating back to the mid 1990s. In 2025, they used genetic genealogy to identify her as LeBlanc, and with the help of the Toronto Police Service, the Ontario Forensic Pathology Service, and Othram in Texas, too. Based on investigations to date and forensic examinations of the remains, the NRPS is investigating Brenda's death as a homicide. They're saying that she lived in both Niagara Falls and St. Catharines during the 1990s when she was supposed to be in her 30s and was originally from New Brunswick. At this time, investigators have not established how Brenda came to be at this particular property, and what, if any, connection she has to the residents or the residence itself. So they don't know how she came to be at that property, whether she was a renter there, whether someone um, brought her to the property, whether she came from elsewhere and someone put her there. Maybe they put her body in there at some point and left. Don't know. But the fact that they found her not just in a room, not just in, say, a closet or in the roof or something, they found her under what sounds like the flooring of the home. And that's why I wanted to show you this. If I show you this photo here, okay, look at this. There is a way to get under here. Do you see how there's a gap under the home? There is this area that has been ripped down, and in another photo you can see it used to be really boarded up a lot better than that here. Even when it was in a dilapidated state, it was still boarded up a lot better. And you can see here as well, someone has cut a hole here and gone underneath. So I don't know if that's how they got her body underneath the flooring, but there is definitely a gap here for utilities or plumbers or, whatever to get into that crawl space of the home, but it doesn't look like it's very difficult to get under there. There is definitely easy ways to get under this property. Yeah, I'll show you here too. See, it's all open right here. So someone could have dragged her remains under there and dumped her. No one checked, like no one's been there. It's just this old house that's on the road. No one checks it out. It's dilapidated. They're waiting for someone to buy it and knock it down. Well, this looks like a very interesting investigation. The problem they have though is if this was a rental property and there were multiple residents in different parts of this home, and you're going to date back 3 or 4 decades, and I wonder, is it possible the landlord of this property didn't keep records of who came, who went, who paid them cash for their rental of this property? I have a funny feeling a lot of, records just either don't exist or were never done in the first place. It sort of has that look to it of a halfway house, something where people in our society who couldn't get a rental anywhere else were maybe this is a salvation for them to come and live here where it was probably a cheap monthly payment. They got a room, something like that, and down on their luck type people. So this woman, how did she end up there? And that is what they're trying to figure out. You talk about this woman born in 1963, went missing sometime in the 1990s. I don't even have a missing persons report for you. I'm not even sure anyone knew that she was missing until they found the remains. So th- I don't know if there was any family member looking for her really, whether anyone knew that she was gone. But it's very sad to me that someone's remains could lie under that flooring for so long and people just like, "Oh, what happened to Brenda? Oh, who knows? What happened to her? Oh, she disappeared in the 90s." Oh, that's a bad quality version of that. Let me see if I can get a better quality of that. Yep. Yeah, there we go. So the Niagara police have been doing this sort of outreach for it, and they're really trying to get people who might have known at the time, like, that's what they want. They want people who knew her to come forward and say, "I knew her. I used to hang around with her in St. Catharines, something like that. And that is what they're trying to figure out right now. I really wish I had more information, like a family, an auntie, an uncle, a sister, someone, but I have no one to tell you that they're helping. They're going to help track down people who knew Brenda. But so far, there's no one. And they're saying here that authorities are asking anyone who knew her or may have information about her whereabouts anytime between, I guess when she was born in 1990 to come forward. They would like to know about her activities during the time, and they want to sort of piece together her life. Because right now, what they have is they know she was born in 1963 and someone put her in that home during the 1990s. And that's about all they know. So that is pretty freaky to me that someone could be dumped in a property like that and no one come across it for 4 decades. I think that is, yeah, scary. Scary. So what happens now? Well, the Ontario police are trying to work with other precincts in Canada to try and track down any type of health records, any type of governmental records too. They've been trying to look to see if maybe she got care anywhere, whether she went to a hospital, a GP, anything like that, where they can try and start saying, okay, she put down an address that was for this property, maybe the property that she was found in. So they're saying it will take them possibly years to try and track this down. That's why they would like someone to come forward that knew her, where they can just tell them as much information as they can. It is a very sad case to be left in this home, I think is awful. Look at that. I mean, it probably was once upon a time a very nice home. Not really anymore. So these are just some photos of it throughout the years, but definitely there were people living here at some point, and you can see. Do I have the one? Like definitely with this one, you can tell there's like a red car out the front. They've mowed everything. They've even tried to make the driveway more livable. And then as we get further past that, it doesn't look like there was many people here at all. It looks like you can see all the windows are boarded up. There's, like, wood over everything. People have obviously broken into it. Because when you look back at this one, look, all the windows are there. They're all intact. But when you get a little further away, they're not. So, obviously, people have been breaking in, smashing windows, that type of thing. But that may have happened 30 years after her death. This happened all these were between 2009 and 2018. So that's as far back as I can find on any type of street view or Google search of this property. So I just find it weird that it seemed to be all boarded up at one point, and then at some point someone put a lot of work into it. Look at the windows. Look at the windows here. Look. Someone put in all new bordering on these windows. Look. All of this wood is brand new. This one too. This one as well. Even a new front door. Look. Brand new front door. And they've replaced windows here. All here. So someone was putting money into it at some point. And what happened after that? Don't know. But it has now been demolished. It is not there anymore. That piece of land is vacant. There's just nothing there at the moment. Um, so maybe any evidence of what happened to this woman, maybe gone in the demolition, possibly. Hey, good to see you guys. Missy said, I bet there are some horror stories in that home. I would think so. Kathy said, "Where is this?" It is in Niagara Falls, Ontario, so on the Canadian side of the border. I can show you the region if you really want me to. Give me a sec. and I'll get the thing for it. So people are asking, is she actually Canadian or is she from the US? No, she's a Canadian citizen. She was born in Canada. So she's not a person who crossed the border and ended up in, St. Catharines or New Brunswick or, wider Ontario area. But they're saying here, forensic examinations indicated she likely died and was left at the property during the mid 1990s, so somewhere around 1995. And they're saying, yeah, that they just don't know how she ended up at that property. And they're hoping someone will come forward. The property is 7081 Stanley Avenue, Ontario Falls. I'll show you. It's a pretty nice neighborhood. I mean, it's probably been gentrified over the years, but that's not the right place. Hold on. That is the right place. So this is what it looks like today. I will show you. This is the property right here as it is today. There is nothing left. They've knocked it all down. The house is gone. And in this demolition of the property, that is when they found her body. So this was taken in uh, 2025. And if I go here, you guys can see as we go back in time. So there's a dilapidated property. And there's one where you can actually see people living there. There's this one, look, what does that say? For rent or maybe a political banner? But you can see people were definitely inhabiting the property. There's even a little motorhome here. So there's people there. Go back to July 19. Then it's all boarded up again as if no one's there. It's really weird. And then look, it even looks a little nicer here. There's that red car. And then there's a little wagon, RV. There's another thing over here. If we go back here, we'll go to 2012. There's a bike out the front. So definitely was lived in for a period of time. This is 2007. That is as far back as the records go for the property. So it's become like uninhabited and then habited again and then not and then yes and then there's people that's moved out. It's had a wild life, this property. You can see as it's gone through the different time steps here. So that's what it looks like today. I don't know what they're going to do with it now. I'm not sure, but that is it. It is a pretty nice house for something that was probably built a really long time ago. Not anymore. Um, I just think that when you have a property that has that kind of access to the underneath portion of the home, it's very hard to be like, oh, it was obviously a resident. This place was abandoned for, it could have been, even in the 90s. I don't think this place was like a high class place that was servicing tenants who had jobs or, that type of thing. I think it was always a halfway house type thing. And when you have such easy access to underneath that home, who knows who could have been? Someone could have done it, could have been a friend of someone who lived there. They could have been like, I killed this woman. I got to hide the body. Okay, we'll stuff her under the home, and she just was never found for 30 years. So I'll show for people who are coming in late. I'll show the photos again if I can get it. What I find interesting is we have two different photos of her. So we have this photo that looks like a much younger version of her, and then we have this older photo. Actually, we might have three photos of her. So we had that other photo. This is another one here. She looks slightly different. And then we have this photo over here. It definitely looks like she's had a bit of a hard life. Definitely looks like she's got some stories to tell. and you can see the progression. But yeah, her name is Brenda LeBlanc, and she was born in 1963. So if she was alive today, she would be what? In her mid to late 60s, almost 70. I think so, right? What should be born? 64, 65, something like that. She would be of retirement age, getting there anyway. Hey, Kathy, good to see you. Gayla said, lady was found under a part of a house when it was being demolished. Yeah, they found her underneath the home. Very sad to discover. Imagine the property owners who bought the house thinking, wow, what a great bit of land. Let's demolish it and build some apartments. And then they have this that they have to deal with. So, um, hey, Snapcrackle, how are you? So I'll run through it for people who are late. This lady's name is Brenda LeBlanc. She was found in Ontario, Canada, in Niagara Falls. They believe she died in the mid 90s. Her body was only discovered in 2023 when they knocked down the property and they found her body concealed underneath the property. Now, they haven't said where underneath the property, whether it's underneath the floor or whether it's underneath the concrete of the home, the like that bottom section that I showed you, underneath the what would you call it? Uh, a access area for like if you're having your pipes fixed or electrics or something like that, a crawl space maybe. Maybe that they haven't really said. They just said when they demolished the home, they she was found under something. That is the way they sort of worded it. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if I can give you the exact words of how they worded it. That's not how I'd like to word that. No, I'd like to actually tell you what the cops said. Unfortunately, there was no press conference that I could find. Oh, actually, there might be one. Is it this one? It's very wish they'd done a longer press conference. They did a 1-minute press conference. 1 minute. That's all we got from them. Hold on. Yeah, here.
Human remains were discovered during the demolition of a former home in the city of Niagara Falls. After an extensive investigation and also the use of investigative genetic genealogy, those remains have now been identified as Brenda Marie LeBlanc. Now we need to answer the next question, which is, who killed Brenda? Our investigation has determined that Brenda's last known footprint of life was in the mid-1990s. She lived in both Niagara Falls and St. Catharines and was originally from New Brunswick. Someone knew Brenda. Someone may remember who she was with, where she lived, or something that didn't seem important at the time. If you have any information, no matter how small, please contact the Niagara Regional Police Service Homicide Unit. Your information could be the missing piece that finally provides answers to Brenda's family and helps to hold the person or persons responsible for her death accountable.
All right. So that is the update from them. I just want to close out that video. There we go. So yeah, that is as much as they know about her. The fact they were even able to find a name, and then what they said was like a life footprint for her in the mid 1990s. I wish they sort of thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. Thank you. A silver star and a gold coin. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's very kind. So that's the word they used, a life footprint. Does that mean they found a medical record, a doctor's visit, something that tied her to the area and said, okay, she was alive at this point in time? Possibly, maybe even a DMV. Oh, I don't know what they call it in Canada, like Canada Transport, something like that. Maybe she had an appointment somewhere and they were able to track it back. Very possibly. Um, yes, thank you. It's very kind. SB1 said it's weird they didn't use the investigative genealogy to find relatives too. Maybe they can't. Maybe there isn't any relatives that they know of. Or maybe because she was born in 1963, it's possible that all her relatives have passed away. We're talking about what, like, at least multiple decades. It could be that her parents have passed away. Maybe she didn't have any siblings. Maybe she was adopted. There could have been like a bunch of different things that they couldn't get over to try and find out other people. Or maybe they just don't know. When you have these people, sometimes when they leave home, they just have no contact anymore. So even her parents could be like, "Hey, we saw her in 1973 or whatever, and then we never saw her again. We didn't even know she was missing." That has happened so many times in these type of cases where even the family didn't know that they were dead. They just figured that they had moved on with their life, didn't want contact with them, and just never called home ever again. So very possibly that is what has happened here as well. Let's see. Yeah, maybe a bank account or some sort of welfare payment. Yeah, maybe. SPL said my mom was now in 54. She's 72. Yeah, there could be a multiple. Your parents are 88. Brother is over 65. Some people don't make it that long. No, Othram worked on this. They did the investigative genealogy for it on behalf of the Canadian Royal Mounties. They did it. So they did that part of it, and then they did the other part of it. So no, they did bring in Othram. They did do the work. Just maybe they couldn't find anyone else. Maybe they were very lucky to even find a name for this woman. Yeah, yeah. Australia has a contract with them. Hold on, guys. Give me one sec. Hold on, hold on. Someone's calling. All right, sorry about that. Someone calling me. Everyone wants to call me when I'm on here. Mm, okay. Yep, there we go. My sister just returned from seeing Scotland. Wow, that's cool. Yes, hopefully they can maybe they're going to continue their work. Maybe they could just find her name and they're going to continue working with them. Yeah, maybe they're going to continue working with it. Um, yeah, so if you know anything, call the hotline. Maybe, we have so many people that watch true crime that are in their sort of like 50s and above. Maybe you're from Canada. Maybe you know of her. I mean, wouldn't it be great if someone could be a part of the puzzle to give back her identity, like where she came from, who she was with, who she was seeing? You could be a part of that. I'm sure there are people out there that remember her. I'm positive that there are people in the world that remember this woman. I just really wish there was more research on her. There's very little. I'd love to know where they got the photos from. 'Cause the photos look all different, right? Like, if you look at this one, she has her hair sort of pulled back, and I don't know what that might be for. Do you guys is that a passport photo or a driver's license? Mugshot, maybe? But then there's another one, not the older one. There's this one. She has her hair down. See, her hair's not pulled back in this photo, even though the age range looks similar. And then the next photo we get is a massive jump in time. The next photo is that older photo of her. What they believe she was probably close to the age when she died, like 35. And you see, so we really have that sort of like big jump in time between her photos. Where they got them from, um, I don't know, but definitely, yeah, could be definitely that other one, right? Not this one. See how she's got her head tilted? You can't do that with a driver's license, right? It has to be sort of straight. You have to be like looking at the camera. I don't know about that one, but this one definitely could be a driver's license photo. This one here. The other one, I don't think so because she's not looking at the camera correctly, and I don't think you're allowed to have your hair on your face. So it has to be back away from your head. So yeah, Kathy said, did not. Yes. Okay. Okay. Hey, Marilyn. Good to see you. Let's see. Husband's nephew left the family. Oh, okay. I hope he is okay. Hope he is okay. Okay. So that is your update on her. I really wish I had more, but that's all we really have on her. I just wanted to make it known because we have a lot of people from Canada that watch the show, and they're always asking me, Ping, can you do more Canadian stories? Can you do more Canadian stories? And just yesterday, I was saying how I was a little bit annoyed that we kept having the same type of stories where it was like, man kills family, they're dead, he's dead. I'll tell you how they died, and then that's it. There's no mystery to it, which is what I think a lot of us prefer to try put our thinking caps on and try and help or figure out different parts of it. So when this popped up today, I was like, I really want to show it to you because maybe you guys can help figure it out. Maybe someone has better knowledge of the area, what type of people would have lived there at the time. The one thing I do know about Niagara Falls area is that I do know that uh, in the, um in the time period that they're talking about, that area of Niagara Falls was actually a very poor is the wrong word, but a lower socioeconomic area. There was a lot of working class, but also a lot of people who, couldn't find work, had barriers to work, that type of thing. That particular area was known to have, a lot of, people struggling in life. So, not always a high class area. Gail said, "Do you need a passport to get into America from Canada?" Yes, yes, you need your passport. Roy, come look. I haven't seen Roy in so long. I hope Roy is okay. I really miss him. I miss him like every day. I used to love his interactions on the show, and I hope he's doing okay. I really do. He had some challenges in his life, and um, I hope he's doing okay. I really do. I really hope he's okay. I spoke to him a little bit last year around the trial for Aaron Patterson. He got in touch with me very briefly, and then I didn't hear from him after that. He said he had a problem with his tablet, so he used to watch all the YouTube on his tablet, and he said there was something up with his tablet. And I said, "Hey, get in touch. I'll get it fixed for you, or I'll buy you a new one if you need it." But I didn't hear anything else back from him, so. It's a shame. I really, really miss him. He's a great guy. Hey Emma, how are you? So maybe she went to America, so needed a passport. This girl? I don't think so. The fact that we've been told that she moved around that area of basically the wider Ontario area for most of her life, don't think she went to America anytime. It sounds like when you look at it, Niagara Falls and St. Catharines, they're right next to each other. They're not far from each other. Let me have a look. There's St. Catharines. There's Hamilton. Where is the other one? Oakville, Mississauga. Just having a look. There's Niagara on the Lake. There's a border. There's Buffalo. Um, there's Oshawa. There's London. I'm just trying to have a look for how far away they would be in real life. Okay, no. Okay. They are very close together, I think. I'm just having a look. There's Niagara. There's St. Catharines. Okay. They're 12 miles from each other. So they would be considered basically the same area. They're not far. There's St. Catharines. This must be it over here. Okay. Yeah, they're saying it's telling me 12 miles between them, and they're not far from each other. Yeah, traveling from Niagara Falls, Ontario to St. Catharines covers a distance of about 20 kilometers or 12 miles. They're saying you can take a regional bus, which takes between 30 or 40 minutes, and the public transport is reliable in this area. So it doesn't sound like they're far away from each other. Sounds like they're pretty close to each other. So I would say she probably moved around these areas when you're talking about Niagara Gardens, Queenston, Great View, Western Hill, Glen Ridge, all these type of areas. I would say that she probably just lived around and grew up in this particular area. There's Niagara Falls. So here I can show you the difference. So there's Niagara right here. Here is St. Catharines over here. They're not far from each other. There's the Canadian US border. And so she probably just lived between these two suburbs or whatever, maybe commuted back and forth, maybe ended up there for some reason. Um, we don't know. They do look like they got a road that connects them. What is this? Thorold Stone Road is basically the connecting road between them. Canadian Highway 57. That would be how you get to them. And yeah, so probably would have been different back in the day, though, back in the 90s. Missy said, I just Googled it. Yes, you need a passport to go to Canada from the. Yeah, of course. People that go and pick up their mail. So there's people that in Canada that go, they order things from like Amazon, and there's companies that will hold your mail at the border. So you cross the border from Canada into the US, and then there's like facilities where you can go get your mail. So if you see something online and it's a cheaper price than buying it in Canada, you might do that and order it to these companies. Yeah, you need to take your passport to cross over into the US. I Hate Morning said yes now, but not in the 1990s. Oh, really? It was different back then. You could cross the Niagara Falls border in the 90s without a passport. Why does that sound familiar? Like that was a thing they brought in only recently, and that workers were upset that they couldn't get to their jobs on the other side of the bridge or something. Hold on. Niagara Falls. No, when I seem to remember like workers were upset because they couldn't get across the bridge without a passport to get to their jobs. Um, so in 2009, June 1st, 2009, passports and alternate secure documents like an enhanced driver's license or Nexus card became mandatory for all border crossings by car, train, bus, or boat. There you go. You need a special card or a special driver's license from 2009. There you go. Hey, Joe. What's up, brother? I think Canadian roads are only about 72% as wide as US roads. Hey, you come to Australia, our roads are 50% as wide as your roads. Seriously. That's why when people order a Ford F-150 and then want to drive it in Australia, they can't because the roads are so narrow that people buy these stupid giant trucks, and down here you can't drive them. You also can't park them anywhere because we don't have car spaces that are big enough. Just don't have them. Okay. If any of you find out in your sleuthing or whatever online and you find out any information about this woman, let me know. I would really like to follow up on it and try and keep an eye on what's going on and see if we can figure out anything else about it. I'll put her name in the chat. This is her full name. If I can, did it post? I feel like I posted it and then now I can't find it. Hopefully you guys can see it. Geez, that's weird. I saw it post and then it went away. Let me try again. There we go. That's her full name. So if you find out anything else, let me know. Let me know. I'd like to keep track of what's going on with her and see if we can get some more details to find out who might have wanted to kill her and stuff her under a home for 30 years. And, the sad thing about this one might be the killer might be gone as well by now. When you're dealing with a lot of these historical cases, unfortunately, about 50% of the time it winds up that the killer has already died. By the time they figure out who it is and try and track him down, that they've already passed away. But it would be good to find out how she died because women just don't put themselves under homes and, conceal their bodies for multiple years. All right. All right. Let's continue. I have an update on the Eugene Horsch investigation, and it's going to get freaky. This whole thing might be one of the largest serial killer investigations in the US history. And you might be like, Ping, you're just being sensationalist. No, I really believe this could end up being one of the largest serial killer investigations in recent memory. And it could involve two generations of the same family. And like I said, they're already looking at over 70,000 videos and another, you know, tens of thousands of images, documents, all sorts of things in this investigation. Now they reckon they have video evidence of two women being alive, and then further down the video, both of them being dead. That's what they said. They're like, we see them on the video being alive, and then further down the video, there's a time jump, and they're no longer alive. We believe they are dead. And those two women are not the same women that we originally thought were connected with this particular case. So let me play the update and then I'll go back and we'll talk about more of like how we got here. Here, let me share this.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Inspector Ray Evers. I'm the commanding officer of the Detective Bureau. With me today is Ayanna Green Davis. She's from the Office of Community Advocacy and Engagement, to my left. And to my right is Chief Inspector Charles Layton. He's the commanding officer of the Detective Bureau. we're going to do is give a recap on the 417 Chew Avenue investigation. But prior to starting the recap, I'm just going to mention a couple things. One is going to be transparency. We will be transparent in this investigation. It's very complex and protracted. There will be times when we could say we just don't know because we just don't know at that time. But we're going to strive to get the answers and justice for victims. Sensitivity. Asking everyone to be sensitive to the issues here around these victims. Respect. The Philadelphia Police Department is going to respect the victims and their families. I'm going to start out with a short recap of the investigation, and it kind of started on June 19th, 8 a.m. at 6th and Market Streets. United States Park police officer conducted a car stop pedestrian investigation at that location. The vehicle was a BMW. In the vehicle were two passengers, a passenger and a driver. The driver was a Eugene Horsch. He's a 44-year-old male from 417 Chew Avenue. The passenger is a white female, provided fake ID in the name of Blair Tunzelli. During the course of this investigation, the street investigation, 2 illegal handguns were recovered from that vehicle, around $8,000 of illegal drugs, which were crack cocaine, heroin, and marijuana, and a DEA badge with credentials. Eugene Horsch's picture was on that ID. During the briefing process, the name Blair Tunzelli came up again, and we learned through that debriefing process that we may never see her again. Later on that day, and this is Friday into Saturday, the 19th and the 20th, the DEA and officers from the Philadelphia Police Department assigned to the federal task force served a search warrant at 417 Chew Avenue. Recovered another illegal gun, gun parts, a marijuana grow operation with a street value of over $280,000. Another badge, this time it was an FBI badge with credentials, again with Eugene Horsch's picture on it. Also in the house were 5 urns containing what we believe is the cremated remains. The DEA contacted Tom Walsh. He's the lieutenant in homicide. Homicide opens an investigation on 417 Chew Avenue and the disappearance of Blair Tunzelli. Over the next several days, the homicide unit and special victims, and this is part of the long-term missing person group, conducted several interviews.
Also, they issued something like 190 search warrants on the property. They've gone back 3 times, and one of the times they went back there, they went to dig up the sewer line, and they wanted the sewer line, the trap, and another piece of the sewer line into the property to look for either bones, flesh, or other evidence. Like, that's how severe this is. One of the other things they've been looking for is they found these containers in the original search warrant, and in these containers, they described it as, now I hope none of you are eating right now. They described it as an oily residue filled in a 55-gallon drum. And they're talking about things like wet cremation. Now, if you don't know what wet cremation is, it's exactly like it sounds like. Now, wet cremation is basically using chemicals or other fluid to cremate or dissolve a body. And that's basically... So they didn't find any bodies, but they've found a lot of things that look awfully suspicious. All right, I'll get you back to it.
Followed up on the IDs found in 417 Chew Street and re-interview the friends of Blair Tunzelli. On Friday, June 25th, another search warrant was served at 417 Chew Avenue. At this time, it was led by the homicide unit, crime scene, ATF, and our bomb disposal unit. Found at this time, during this search warrant, what appeared to be some type of lab or home lab in the basement, various containers containing an unknown oily substance, and over 50 pieces of electronic devices, and this is hard drives, computers, thumb drives, things of that nature. Mike Garvey, who is the director of forensic science, led the investigation during the processing of the crime scene, and he determined the magnitude of the collection process that we have to go through our crime scene unit and the unknown chemicals. We would need assistance. Sunday, June 27th, a call was made through the commissioner to the FBI, and we got the assistance of the FBI evidence recovery team. They came up from Quantico, Virginia, to assist in processing this scene.
All right, this goes on for a while. Let me jump forward to the bit where he starts talking about the videos, okay?
The Intelligence Center, representatives from the District Attorney's evidence, and processing the evidence. July 22nd, I know many of you were out there at the location of 417 Chew Avenue. That's when we served the search warrant again on that property to remove the sewer line, the lateral, and the trap. And we wanted to examine the contents in that sewer line. July 27th, the 20-plus containers with the unknown substance was delivered to a special lab in Chicago for testing and analysis. The beginning of August, the digital evidence that we served search warrants on started coming in. We utilized the RCFL, and that's the Regional Computer Forensic Lab. The amount of information and digital evidence that we got was astonishing. The investigators in that investigative group, we have to look over 600,000 images, 70,000 videos, and over 10,000 pages of writings, manuscripts, and drawings. We have to review and organize those. Why do I say this? This investigation will take time. There's a lot of evidence to go through. While searching the first hard drive, homicides detectives found the images and video of what appeared to be 2 deceased females. Those females have been identified. We know who they are. This is new territory for the homicide unit in Philadelphia. Usually when we have a homicide investigation, we have a body, we have body parts. This time we do not. This has turned into a death investigation. Again, will be protracted. This is taking all the energy of some really, really senior detectives in homicide to solve exactly what's going on here. We consulted with the medical examiner's office. We met with them several times. And in summary, they stated the following. This is from the medical examiner. Based on the video and photo evidence, if the images in the video are real and not altered in any way, then based on their review, the ME would believe the individuals depicted in the images are deceased. However, without having an actual body or body parts to physically examine, the ME cannot conclusively declare them deceased.
Yeah, like a really hard job for them. The fact that like they might know that these women are dead, but they don't know where they are. And whether they're in these 55-gallon drums, whether that is their remains, this wet cremation that they're talking about, they don't know yet. And imagine being those families who apparently got the phone call this morning, like not like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, today. They got that phone call this morning saying that their daughters are most likely dead at the hands of this guy, and they're not sure where they are, but they do believe they are dead. And that must be harrowing for those families because they might have been thinking for a long time, my daughter may come home eventually, and now that is basically snuffed out, that they're not coming home. And this guy could be like, he could be a serial killer. That is basically what they're trying to outlay for you here, is that this investigation is massive. They are probably going to take not months, but it could be years to go through all of this and test it all and find out who's involved, how many people, how many missing people might be connected to it. Right now, we know of 4. 2 that are the 2 women from today, and then there's 2 women from when his father were alive. One was his I'm gonna call it's his wife. One was his wife, one was another female. Then you have these 2 other females that were involved with the son. Now you hear all this evidence, like what they've found, but one of the things they talk about is no physical human remains or bodies have been recovered, but they have found this oily chemical and residue, and areas initially suspected of blood have not yielded positive results for human DNA so far. And they're saying here, local FBI and homicide detectives fear that as they process the remaining 93% of the digital evidence, more missing women may be linked to the home. And I think that is probably most likely what's going to happen. Probably going to find out that there's more than just the 2 that we know about. Um, Horsch allegedly boasted to acquaintances that he could make a body so small it could be flushed down a toilet. He bragged to people about this. This is why they dug up the sewer line to try and see if they could swab it and find any DNA, any flesh, anything like that. Um, yeah, it is one of the craziest stories coming out of maybe anywhere in a long time. They're saying here only 5 to 7% of all files retrieved have been analyzed, confirming the digital evidence features 2 missing women alive and later appearing to be deceased. The 2 women shown have been identified. One is Blair Tonzelli, and the other one is another lady. I'll show you her image in a minute. Actually, I might have it here. Give me a sec. I do have it, but it's on a different video. Hold on. Let's finish with the press conference when he talks about what's on these videos, and then oh, isn't that fun? Stop. There we go. Let's finish with the press conference, then I'll show you the other video about the 2 women that they see on this video.
Therefore, the ME cannot provide a death certificate or determine the cause of death. The only entity that will be able to declare the individuals deceased without a body will be the Philadelphia Orphans Court. After meeting with the medical examiner, we met with the command staff, the investigative team, and the executive team. A determination was made that we had a duty and obligation to notify the families of the 2 females. 10 a.m. this morning, homicide detectives, Director Green, and the ME's office made the first notification. That first female is Maribel Fressius, Fressess. She's 27. She was born in 1990. Last seen February 2018.
That girl, born in 1990, today would be in her late 30s. She is so young, especially at the time she disappeared. She would have been a very young woman, and the fact that this is how she ends up is horrific.
About 2 hours later, we made the second notification. That female is named Gabriela Amarando, Amarando, born in 1990. She's been missing since September 2012. As I said, this is going to be a very complex, long investigation. Our goal is to bring justice to the families. There will be an increased police activity at 417 Chew Avenue. Our work is not done there. from Commissioner Bethel, we need your help. I'm going to give you two numbers. One is our tip line, 215-686-TIPS. And if you want to speak personally to a homicide investigator working on this case, 215-686-3334. I'm going to open it up to questions. But again, we have a lot of information, a lot of digital information that we still have to go through. That first hard drive is maybe 5 to 7% of what we have to look at. There's a lot to look at. This is a protracted investigation, but we have the best investigators working on this case right now. I'll open it up.
So those videos, you say they depict those two women and you believe they're deceased. Was Eugene Forsch in those videos as well? Were they murdered on these videos?
We believe the videos are from inside 417 Chew Avenue. We don't see how those persons became to us appeared to be deceased.
So they appear they were already deceased when the video was taken?
No, we saw them alive prior in video.
Do you see them getting murdered on the video?
That we don't see.
Can you explain more of the context of the video to clarify?
Graphic and dark.
Can you tell us when you guys would be expecting some of the
All right, we'll leave it there, and I want to show you a photo of the two women. So here is a photo of both of them, and it's very, very, very hard to hear. Like you hear him say, "What the person asks, what is on that video?" And he talks about how it's dark and graphic. And one of the other explanations he gave was like, you see them alive at one point, and then there's something at the end of that video where the medical examiner is sure that they are dead. Like, it's not like, oh, maybe they're sleeping, maybe they're unconscious, maybe they're on drugs or something. No, no, no. The medical examiner's like, they're most likely dead. If this hasn't been altered or digitally enhanced or something like that, these are two dead women that we're seeing on the video. So for a medical examiner to come out and say something like that, it must be pretty certain. Like they must be pretty sure of what is on that video, or it must be so obvious that these women are not alive, like whether it's some sort of injury or something where it's unsurvivable. There must be something there. They're not telling us what it is, but there must be something there. Here's her photo out of NamUs too, Maribel. That's her photo. I have the other one that I showed you of Gabrielle. That was the other photo here. So there's like a couple of photos of each of them going around, but they're the two I think are the nicest. There's also this one, the one I showed you before. So we've got these two ladies. We've got there's two others, the wife of his father, and then there's a second woman that I was telling you about. They were told that basically she'll never be seen alive again. That's some pretty creepy information to be given. What led them to that? We don't know that either. Just that they've basically been told she's not coming home. Her name is Blair Tonzelli. And then the other woman's name is Amy McHale. Amy McHale is the ex-wife of Horsch's late father. But what we understand is that while she's the ex-wife, she continued a very close relationship with him. Like, even though they were divorced or whatever, she was still spending time with him, still came to the home, still had some sort of day-to-day relationship with him. Then there's Blair Tonzelli. Um, Her ID was used in that original traffic stop that where he was arrested, the son. Now, police state they have reason to believe she'll never be seen again. So, at a minimum, we have four women who are missing: Maribel, Gabrielle, Amy, and Blair. So we got four of them. And like they said, I'll give you the statistics again. I'll put it in the chat so you guys can see it. This is what they have to go through. Almost over 500,000 images, 70,000 videos, and 10,000 pages of text or drawing. This is a mountain of information that they gotta go through. It could take years for them to process this, go through it, find what they need to find, test it, do what they have to do. It could be a long time. SPL said, "I need to go back and listen." Okay, hey, good to see you. Yeah, he was pulled over. Here, let me see if I can take you back to how this all started. I might be able to. There is a video here for you. Yep, let's go here.
Today, investigators reveal disturbing new details regarding the months-long investigation at a home on Chew Avenue in the Olney section of the city. We now know that 2 women are believed dead. Tonight, we hear from a former FBI agent about the challenges authorities face in this particular case. Action News reporter Elizabeth Worthington joins us live outside police headquarters tonight with the very latest. Elizabeth.
Yeah, Walter, we've been covering this case since June, and since then, police have executed 95 search warrants at that home. And among the many pieces of evidence that they've collected included several hard drives containing hundreds of thousands of images and videos. And it was what was on just one of those hard drives that led to this first major break in the case. After nearly 2 months, police announced the first significant development in the mysterious case surrounding this home on the 400 block of West Chew Avenue in Olney, and the person who lived there, 44-year-old Eugene Horsch. But they say the investigation is far from over.
That first hard drive is maybe 5 to 7% of what we have to look at.
But that small amount of digital evidence recovered from inside the home already uncovered links to 2 women who have been missing for years. Police say they found images and videos appearing to show the women deceased in the home. They've been identified as Maribel Fressis, who disappeared in 2018 at the age of 27, and Gabriela Amarando, who was reported missing in 2012 when she was 22. But police have not found their bodies. Former FBI.
Let me run you through it. I think I can explain it better than they can. So, he's a 44-year-old man named Eugene Horsch, and this escalated into a homicide and death investigation after Philadelphia police uncovered horrifying digital evidence at his home. He was initially arrested in June of this year on firearm and drug charges. They subsequently raided his home when they caught him in that vehicle. They found like fake government official badges, fake clothing for like I think it was one of the 3-letter agencies. They found like fake clothes, fake badges. They also found ID. They tried to present it to the police of women who have been missing or are presumed to be murdered. This is what tripped them off to go search the home, because they're like, why have you got the ID of women who have disappeared for a number of years? So they went and raided his home. Then we got not much information, but that happened on 19th of June. Federal Park Rangers stopped Horsch near Independence Mall. He was found with drugs, 2 loaded guns with obliterated serial numbers, and fake DEA and FBI badges. A female passenger in his car was using an ID belonging to Blair Tonzelli, so one of the missing women. Later in June of this year, police searched the Chew Avenue home again, discovering a marijuana grow operation, a stockpile of ammunition, and 5 urns containing cremated remains. Of who, I don't think we know yet. In July of this year, the FBI evidence recovery team and bomb disposal units discovered a sinister setup, including hidden compartments, unknown chemical bottles, and 55-gallon drums hooked up to water lines to search for DNA or dissolved evidence. That's what they were looking for. Utility crews excavated the yard and removed a main sewer line. Horsch allegedly boasted to acquaintances that he could make a body so small it could be flushed down a toilet. In August, So now, Philadelphia relinquished all charges for their local police, handing the investigation over to federal authorities because of the scale and complexity of the investigation. But so far, no physical bodies have been found, although they still don't know what is in those urns that they found or what was in those drums, 55-gallon drums hooked up to water lines. Sounds very odd. Um, he is in federal custody right now, pending a September court date. He is currently facing federal firearms-related felonies and charges for counterfeit law enforcement credentials, but has yet to be charged with any crimes involving the missing women. That'll come later, I think. The FBI and local homicide detectives fear that as they process all the digital evidence, they're going to find more and more missing women that might be tied to him and that property. So that is your like catch up here. Yeah, it sounds very similar to that. Um Yeah, basically, we knew back in June that that it might be something like this. Industrial scale body dissolving operation, maybe that's what the 55-gallon drums were. Like when they talk about it, they talk about how there's this oily residue or substance inside those 55-gallon drums. But why would you have a water line hooked to it? Now, they did find that grow operation, and yeah, plants need a lot of water, but I don't think that's got anything to do with dissolving a body. So maybe two things are going on at the same time. Maybe there's this grow operation, but there's also this dissolving females thing. Um, yeah, the Grim Sleeper. That's a good one. Montana said, wouldn't testing the water treatment plant have turned up odd chemicals in the water system? Yeah, possibly. Maybe they just didn't know where they were coming from. Yeah, they normally when they do the water treatment plant, they're only testing for illegal drugs. They want to know how big the density is in any given area. So that's normally what they're testing for. That and illnesses in the community. They do that too. Let's have a look. So yeah, this guy, it's one of the craziest updates that I've ever heard. And the fact that they're like, we have only gone through about 5% of all digital evidence is freaking concerning. Who knows what they're going to find on the rest of it? Could be, I don't even know. The fact that they went through a couple of files and found this video of two of the women being alive and then dead is more than concerning. Let's see. I want to see if there was, yeah, that's the press conference. There was another video that talked about the women themselves, and I wanted to find that one. Actually, do you guys want to see when they excavated the property? Let me see if I can show you that from a few weeks ago. This is when they were like pulling that sewer line out.
Have started excavating the yard of a home in Olney at the center of a month-long drugs and weapons investigation led by Philadelphia police and the FBI. The search for more evidence and a possible connection to at least two missing women. This is the Fox 29 News at 5. I'm Sheba Russell.
And I'm Dawn Timoney. Right now, it is not known exactly what detectives are searching for in that yard. This all began last month when the FBI responded to this home on the 400 block of West Chew Avenue. The investigation revolves around this man, the homeowner, 44-year-old Eugene Horsch, who is facing numerous charges. Our Greg Payne is live in Olney right now. And Greg, we understand neighbors are just shocked and upset by what's happening in the area.
Yeah, Dawn, I mean, you're exactly right. And I mean, this is an investigation that we've been covering for quite some time. And the focus is this home on West Chew Avenue in Olney. And you could actually see right now there is a police vehicle that still remains here at the scene. And right in front of the home, you can see an excavator. And right where that excavator is, there is a giant hole. And that's been the center of the investigation today. Constant movement filling the 400 block of West Chew Avenue in Olney, the center of a major police investigation.
It's kind of shocking, you know what I mean? You never know what's next door around the corner.
Around this corner is the home of 44-year-old Eugene Horsch. Police can be seen back in the area today, excavating the property. Skyfox over the scene showing crews digging underground. And we were there as officials were pulling out various items, including what appears to be piping. In June, Horsch was arrested by police on weapons and gun charges stemming from a fight in a car with a woman on 6th and Market in Center City. There, police say they found inside the vehicle drugs, 2 loaded guns, and a fake DEA badge.
So there you go, a bit of a view when they dug up all that sewer line and all that. One of the things that I wanted to keep this comment up. The police are being vague, but I think the guy was selling and making those type of films. Interesting you say that because his father was very interested in that type of filmography, and it's strange the connections between him and the dad. The dad was into that type of grotesque and you know, women being killed on film and that type of thing. And now you hear of like after the dad died, about what was it, about 8 years ago, his father died, and now you hear about all this that's been going on since dad passed away. And dad's got a couple of women linked to him as well. It almost is like he after his dad died, he just got in the family business and decided to continue it and make it even more extreme. Yeah, filmography, that's right. Uh, we have to be careful with wording. SPO said, "I'm glad they contacted the FBI, didn't try to do it all themselves." Yeah, they brought in Quantico. When they bring in Quantico, there's something effed up. There's something really bad going on because they don't just go and get Quantico involved and be like, "Hey, can we get the BAU and can we get, your brightest minds at Quantico to come down here and start helping?" Like, they just don't do that. And the fact that they've so early brought them in, but also taken away the charges from the local level so that federal authorities can take over the investigation in full. That tells you what you need to know. Kelly said, "Did you see there was an update about the bodies here in Arizona that we were talking about last night? They released who the parents were who called LE about the missing son." They released. Oh, the one in Arizona, the one. Yes, I know who you're talking about now. Sorry, there's so many cases. The boy who ran, not boy, he's 27 years old and he's run and he's gone across either to Mexico or to Russia or something like that. Yes, I will look at that in a minute. Look, I'm going to wrap this one up. That is the update from today. Obviously, we're going to find out more about these 2 women, Maribel and Gabriella. Gabriella was 22 and Maribel was 27. So really young girls, really young girls. And that video that they found sounds horrific. The fact that they're describing it as they were alive and then there's a time jump and they're not alive to the point a medical examiner can say, I think they're dead. It takes a lot for a medical examiner to judge a video and say someone is not alive. It tells me it must be really blatant, must be really obvious. It's not something that's like, is she, isn't she? It's like there's some sort of injury or reason that this person is not or can't be alive. All right, I'm going to leave it there on this one. When we get more information, I will bring it to you. Now, I got an update today about another case that we've been following. This one in Connecticut. Do you guys remember there was a house in Connecticut where 3 bodies were found when they tried to foreclose on the property? Well, today the medical examiner has come out and given us some new information on that property and what has been going on in the last several weeks since they found the bodies. Now, I'm just trying to bring it up. We have too many news articles. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find my Connecticut story now. We have far too many links up. Um, hmm. This one? Nope. Give me a sec, guys. I know you're like, "Dede, dede." I know, I know. Give me 1 second. Alright, I'll find it. So there wasn't oh, yeah, here it is. Found it. Just took me a second. Um, we found some more information, so you guys might remember the home. Yeah. So you remember now it looks all overgrown, but at one point when the family lived there, it was beautiful. Had this beautiful driveway. Look at all the weeds that have popped up over the 3 years that they've been gone. It's crazy how quick like nature encroaches onto human-made uh, elements before, like if you don't do it, if you don't do your weeding and your gardening and that, it just starts eating the home because when it was originally for sale, it was a beautiful property. Now, the 3 people found inside the home have been positively identified finally, and they are Sally, Brian, and Paul Cash. So that is husband, wife, and son. But the weird thing that came out today from the medical examiner's office, get this. There is no suspicion of foul play for an entire family. No suspicion of foul play. They said the bodies were markedly decomposed. So they've been there for a long period of time before they were found, but there is no signs of foul play. How does that work? I am so confused how that works because how did they die then? Did they all die from natural causes? Um, we finally so one of the things that we didn't get was who the third person was, but now we know it is the husband, Paul. For a long time, we didn't know who that third body was, but now we know it is husband, wife, and their son. Now we got to find out how did they die? That's what we don't really understand. It's yeah, very, very odd. Hold on. Yeah, so this update today out of Connecticut, I just don't know what to do with it. I'm not sure. Like, so here, one of the things I've seen go around online is everyone's been saying it's a carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, they did note today through that medical examiner that carbon monoxide poisoning has been excluded. And one of the reasons that is being excluded is when they went into the home after the remains were found, they did air quality testing and there was no carbon monoxide found in the property either. So there was nothing like that. But one of the things here that they're investigating is possible malnutrition or hypothermia from the cold. Not hyper, hypothermia. So they're saying they might have died from the cold or been malnourished. I Like, were they involved in some sort of cult or so? It's very strange. It's very, very odd. How would you get a father, a wife, and a son all to die in this circumstance? Like, does Connecticut get that cold? That's what I was wondering. Do you get a lot of snow in that part of Connecticut? It is in Burlington, Connecticut. Let's see, Burlington, Connecticut. Yeah, apparently they do get a lot of snow, including 46 inches of snow per year. And the low temperatures are 14 degrees Fahrenheit in January. So it does get down to 14. Do you think they could have deliberately not been wanting to pay their gas bill, heating bill, and they died from the cold during a snowstorm? I don't know. Guys, hold on. Sorry about that. Courier was ringing my intercom. Yeah, so Burlington, Connecticut. Let's have a look just very quickly. What is the typical? Let's look at January. Burlington, Connecticut. What type of weather? All right, in January, what is the mean temperature? So the mean temperature in January of each year is 57 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not that cold. 14 degrees Celsius is not that cold. What is the average? Average snowfall is 11 inches. No, 11 centimeters. The record low is minus 18 degrees Fahrenheit in January. So, I mean, it does get pretty cold. If we go to December, minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit. So, I mean, people can die in those temperatures. I just don't understand why the family would collectively pass away. It's, yeah, I do see a fireplace there. I do, but they've ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning. So it's not like from a faulty flue on a fireplace. It's not that. And they said what they're looking into is malnutrition or hypothermia. I am so confused. I don't understand. This family had money. That's what's really weird. The family were not poor and they did have a decent amount of cash. So they could have bought firewood or bought a heater or, paid their electric bill or whatever. It's very, very odd. Yeah, I look, I don't know. I don't really get it. The fact that foul play has been ruled out shows that there's no gun, no firearm. It wasn't like a murder S word where the father killed the son and mother and then took his own whatever. It's not like that because then they would have said, yes, there is a criminal element. Someone committed, murder, but there's nothing like that. Maybe an illness of some sort? Maybe. Like some sort of like cold. Maybe they both copped like Like the really bad case of the flu or something? No, the eviction only happened when they stopped paying their mortgage, and that only happened after where they think they died. So that doesn't make any sense either. It just seems like they foreclosed because when you're dead, you can't pay your bills. So the bills stopped when they passed away, but something would have had to have got them where they all died close together because otherwise one would have survived and they could have got out. Maybe they could have paid the bills. It's very strange. Maybe, I don't know. Um, that's all the information that the medical examiner came out with today. They just wanted to tell everyone that there was no foul play and that the third person was Paul Cash, who is the husband of Sally. Other than that, I really don't know. It's a very, very confusing story. I'm just trying to find out here. Cause of death. Yes, they still haven't been able to determine a cause of death. It's been many months now, and they would have done toxicology already, and they just haven't been able to figure that out either. I'm just trying to see if there is another update. No. So right now, okay, they haven't got the toxicology back. They're saying the Connecticut Office of Medical Examiner officially listed the cause and manners of death as pending further toxicology and forensic studies. So that's how unsure they are. They're doing more investigation into it because it's not something obvious. It's not something routine. They're trying to find out what it is, but apparently they cannot. The Connecticut State Police Western District Major Crime Unit noted there is no initial indication of criminal activity or threats to the public. Do you think it could be something like a cult where they drank something at the same time due to some date, like they thought the world was going to end and they all drank something? Could it be something like that, maybe? Like, could they all have got caught up in some sort of spirituality cult or something? Oh, yes, I've seen that one. Yes, I know what you're talking about. You thought so too? Yeah, it's weird. Kelly said, would like to know where in the home the bodies where each person were found. That would be an interesting point because if they're all found in one room, that would indicate that it all happened at the same time. If they were found in separate areas of the home, maybe it could have happened over a prolonged period of time. Yeah, they don't give us that information, and I'm guessing we're gonna have to wait for the final, coroner's report, but yeah, the update they gave today was that Paul Cash is the third person and that, they have, ruled out foul play. Yeah, and we don't have a cause of death. It has been listed as waiting further forensic testing, so what were the ages again? Um, I had it before. I think Paul and his wife were in their 50s. Yeah, Sally was 54, Brian was 22. I don't have an age for Paul though. I would suspect Paul's of a similar age to Sally. So yeah, Sally Ann Cash was 54, her son was 22. I don't have an age for Paul, for some reason. Oh, yes, so, yeah, no age for Paul. Sally's 54, Brian's 22, but Paul's age is not listed, so we don't know. Yeah, I'll let you know. But they're saying that on the medical examiner's report right now, their cause and manner of death are undetermined. So that is what they're calling it right now. But that carbon monoxide has been excluded. And they're saying the potential factors are malnutrition or cold exposure. Really, really strange. Really, really odd. Um, yeah. So that update only came out a few hours ago in Connecticut. Yeah, pretty young. I agree. Hey, by the way, hey Darby, your husband's doing great. I'm happy. I'm happy he's not doing any like of the medical problems anymore. Give your husband a high five from me, and hope he's doing well. By the way, I've had a ton of like very early birthday wishes. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just a guy doing true crime. You guys don't have to like think of me or whatever. Like it's fine, but it's very nice of people. Like people have been sending. I think they got the day wrong. They thought it was like today, but it's fine. It's very kind. It's not today though. But yeah, woke up to a bunch of emails and they were like, "Happy birthday!" I'm like, "It's not my birthday today." But yeah, that's okay. I appreciate it. It's very kind. Um, that's pretty young to all die. 54 and the son's 22. But if mom and dad died, don't you think the son maybe could have got out? Like, how come no one got out of the home? Like, how come no one made it out? Not one of them. What kept them in that home where they all died? That's the question really. Because you would think like maybe two of them die, fine, maybe they had an illness or something like that. But how come the son died? Like he's pretty young, 22. You think he would be pretty resistant to most illness that maybe the parents would get? So, if they were all sick, I mean, I guess so. Content Angel said apparently the Cash family moved into the house in 2019, so they weren't even there that long. No, they only bought it a few years before they died. Unless I wonder if it's something like a I wonder if it's something like a cult type situation, some sort of spirituality, maybe something to do with COVID. Maybe they thought they got COVID and took a chemical and they overdosed on it, thinking it was going to cure them. I mean, that happened during COVID. There were people who died from ODing on certain chemicals and silver. Some people got like metallic poisoning. Like maybe it was something like that. No pets that I know of. Hmm. You might be right. Were they behind on their payments? No. They only fell behind in their payments after they passed. Well, what they believe is when they died. They're not sure of a death timeline yet, but they believe they died around late in the year. And then all of a sudden, payments stopped on the house. And they believe that's about how long they were dead for due to the decomposition of the bodies. So, no, the payments only stopped when they died. So it's very, very odd. There've been loads from Amazon. Yeah, they had all these packages too. The neighbors said that they always were getting packages from Amazon, like multiple per day. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I think we're not going to find out the answer until we get that uh deeper toxicology test. Maybe when we get that, it'll have some answers as to what happened to Brian, Sally, and Paul. Because right now it's very, very odd. Family had deep isolation. The family had deep isolation. What does that mean? Like, I mean, I know what that means. It means the family were isolated from other family and friends, but were they paranoid? Maybe they were paranoid. Maybe they thought people were going to get them or something. Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there is anything else. No, but it's interesting that they mentioned malnutrition or hypothermia as possibilities that they're now looking into. I think that's very interesting. Yeah. Could it still be a murder S word, but then one of them forced the other two to take a chemical and then he took the third one, or she? Could the mum have poisoned her husband and son, like in their food, and then she took a dose of it herself at a later time? Like, could that be a possibility? Could it be death by poison? And even though they say there's no obvious criminality, could one of them have poisoned the other two and then done it to herself? That's why it's not obviously a, murder S word. Maybe that's why they need that deeper toxicology. They have relatives in other states. Marlene said, remember the family in your country that the whole family just took off and drove away from their ranch with some mental health reason? Yeah, there was a family that disappeared years ago. I don't know if they ever found them. Hold on. There were like rumors that they ended up in like Papua New Guinea or South America or something, but they were involved in some sort of like cult. Here's a photo of them here. Here's the family. I can't remember what they were called. They're called the Nanup Four, and they're an infamous case of mysterious disappearance. They vanished in July of 2007, and it was Simon, real name Gary. Chantel was the 27-year-old partner of Simon. They had a 5-year-old daughter called Leela, and then a person called Antonio Tony Popic. He was a 40-year-old friend and lodger who lived on the, property. But yeah, they never found them, did they? No, they never found them. This family just, disappeared, and they were into, like, that new age cult type stuff, and, some people believe they ended up in Brazil. They said they posted a note on the door that said, "Gone to Brazil," to a spiritual community, but that they never ever found that they had left Australia or boarded a flight. So that is, maybe it's similar. Maybe it's a similar thing. Let's see. Found bodies in Mexico? No, no, not the same thing. Okay. If we get more about the Connecticut house, I'll let you know. But hold on, I want to go to the Arizona thing. There should be a new update. So it's Matthew Flores from Litchfield Park, and he's wanted by the U.S. Marshal Service for killing his parents, basically. Um, what was the update today? You said there was a new update? Let me have a look. Because I haven't seen anything new today about Matthew Flores. I'm just having a look. Just seeing if I can find that information. Oh, okay. Okay. So the welfare check, when they found that the home had a crime scene inside of it, including a lot of blood, and then they ended up excavating the backyard near the pool and finding the mother and father of Matthew Flores. Apparently, it was their other son called Hector. It was the other son of Hector and Larissa. So they have another son, and it was the other kid who called in the welfare check. That he said he told authorities that he had not heard from his mother or father or brother since the 29th of July, which was highly unusual, and they were not answering their phones. Brother stated he was afraid to enter the house himself because he was scared of what he might find. He assisted other officers in gaining entry into the home, where police immediately discovered a large amount of blood and signs of foul play. Huh, there we go. Because we're all wondering, like, who called in the welfare check? I'm gonna play the video for you.
The new details in the murder of that Litchfield Park couple whose remains were found buried in the backyard of their home.
Yeah, police have identified the son, 27-year-old Matthew Flores, as the prime suspect, but believe he may have fled the country. Fox 10's Ellen McNamara joins us now in studio with more. Ellen.
And guys, we now know the other Flores son, not Matthew, called Avondale police to perform a welfare check. Now, he had not heard from his mom or dad, who were dead and buried in the backyard, or brother, for several days. According to a newly obtained police report, the son called police from outside the family home on August 4th, saying that he had not heard from them since July 29th. Then he said his family was not answering their phones, which he says was unusual. He told police he was afraid to enter the home because he was scared of what he would find. Details in the report are redacted, but the officer who went inside noticed several things and then exited and called for backup. Police have previously said that there was a large amount of blood inside the home that appeared to have been cleaned up. The son also provided police with details about Matthew's mental state, and according to the report, he told police that Matthew had changed a lot since college, stopped socializing, and would make vague, threatening statements. The report mentions that Matthew had been diagnosed with a mental health disorder and gave an example of him hearing voices in his head. Matthew's brother said that he had no friends, was unemployed. He also says that Matthew had, quote, discovered Hector, their father, had been cheating on Larissa and had been upset that she had not left him. Police tried pinging all three phones, but they could not be located because they were all turned off. The U.S. Marshal Service is leading the manhunt right now for Matthew. Friends tell Fox 10 that he does have dual citizenship from Russia, but law enforcement has not said which country that he may have fled to.
Interesting, some of that information, especially about the mom, that dad had been cheating on the mom and that he was unhappy about it, made threatening comments. Yeah, I don't know if it's schizophrenia, but definitely some sort of mental illness for sure. Yeah, weird that the dad had been cheating on the mom and that the son knew about it and that he wanted his mom to leave him. Very strange. Yeah, and here they're saying that the sibling spoke to Larissa daily and provided police with background on the brother Matthew. Interesting. This sounds like a really nasty, maybe like a family dispute that has really gone in a just a bad way. Passing note, we don't want that. Yeah, here. A newly obtained police report. The son called police from outside the family home on August 4, saying he hadn't heard from him since July 29. He told officers his family wasn't answering their phones, which he says was unusual. Details in the report are redacted, but the officer who went inside noticed several things, then exited and called for backup. Police has previously said there was a large amount of blood inside the home that appeared to have been tried to clean. Basically, Matthew tried to clean it up. The son also provided police with details about Matthew's mental state. He told officers Matthew had changed a lot since college. Stopped socializing. Said his brother had no friends and was unemployed. He says Matthew had discovered Hector had been cheating on Larissa and was upset Larissa had not left him. I wonder if they asked him to get out of the house. I just wonder. I wonder, with the family breakdown, the son catching the dad cheating on the mom, that I wonder if the dad demanded that Matthew move out of the home. And I wonder if that's where this killing took place. I just have a feeling. Yeah, I wonder if it's something like that, some internal family dispute, not only about the cheating on the mum, but yeah, I wonder if the dad's like, well, if you don't like it, you don't want to live here, you want me to leave your mum or your mum to leave me, then you can go. You go. You get out of my house. I wonder. I wonder if that's what we'll end up finding out, that it's something like that, like they were going to cut him off for being destructive in the family unit. Yes, there was a public statement read out by the university. I'm not going to read it, it is very long, but they just give a background into Dr. Flores. He originally joined Cal Poly Pomona in the fall of 2015 as an assistant professor, earned his PhD. They go on to explain his academic career, and apparently they're going to have a memorial for Dr. Hector Flores, and they're basically saying that they're extending their condolences to the family. I'd really like for the US Marshals to tell the public where he is. Where is he? Because they must have an idea if he boarded a plane or drove across the border, but they won't tell us either of that. So if you want the public to help, how can the public help if they don't know where he is? You can't just be looking everywhere. Let's see. Just trying to see if I have another story. Um, what? There's an update for David? What is it? He's accused of murdering Celeste? Yeah, we know that. Why is there an update for that? There's no Burke update, is there? I haven't seen one. Yeah, I haven't seen one. I think we're waiting on the now the judge has found evidence to stand trial. I think we're waiting on that pre-trial hearings to continue. I don't think there's anything with David right now. Let me check. Oh, Nick. There is a little bit about Nick Reiner. There was a little bit that came out overnight about him. I'm not sure if you're interested, but there was a bit more information about it. And he has been indicted by a grand jury after killing his parents. Oh, here we go.
We wanted to update you now on the breaking news regarding the indictment of Nick Reiner. We told you just moments ago that the grand jury indictment has been unsealed. Joining us now is ABC News' Alex Stone. And Alex, what does it mean? What is this procedurally to unseal this grand jury indictment?
Well, Philip, essentially this means that the prosecutors and the defense are able to skip the preliminary hearing. That there was going to be a preliminary hearing in a couple of weeks, and now they are able to skip over that and head right to trial. The charges essentially are the same. There is one addition of a special circumstance of lying in wait, but the other special circumstances were already there of multiple murders and using a knife in the crime. So all of those lead to, if there is a sentence at some point, of the two murder charges, potentially the sentence being greater. But this allows them to skip that preliminary hearing.
Do legal experts see anything in this by skipping the preliminary hearing? Because that could speed up the trial possibly. I mean, what does it tell us by making this step?
Well, this is something that the prosecutors sometimes do to not have to show all of their cards. And because you think of a preliminary hearing, it's like a mini trial. They show evidence they've got, they show testimony, or they hear testimony.
So that's the difference between David and this one. David did go through that preliminary hearing and they did show a little bit of the evidence that they had. With this one going through the grand jury indictment, the grand jury found reason to indict him here. this is very different from what happened with the David case, because the David case was the investigative type, not the type for the indictment. So that's sort of the difference here. Um, Interesting that, like Nick Reiner, when you hear some of the things about not only what his family did for him, but also what his siblings had done for him, including getting him a lawyer. So, did you guys hear that? That his siblings paid out of their own money. When he was first arrested, they paid for his lawyer because they believed at the time that there was no way their brother could have hurt his family. And when they found out that most likely he is the killer of his lovely parents, they dropped it and absolutely cut him off, which there you go. Shows you like what kind of lovely family that they stuck by him through everything, like multiple rehabs, multiple detoxes. They rescued him from being on the street several times. They took him from like crack houses. Like they tried so hard to help him. And in the end, when he didn't get his way with his father, he tried to kill him. Well, he did. He killed them. I think it's so sad because I think while his dad was a very strict guy, I think he tried to help him in his own way, like provide money, provide opportunity, provide services, and it wasn't enough for him, for Nick Reiner. They're saying here he continues to be held without bail. He's entered a not guilty plea. They're saying here the lie in wait charge makes him eligible for life without parole or the death penalty. Now, one of the things I think we did here was that he was hiding or waiting for his parents inside the home where he had a weapon and basically jumped them when they got there. He jumped them and killed them. It's really sad, really, really sad. I find that really sad. Like, I heard a lot about his father and that, his father is quite firm, but that doesn't mean he doesn't love his son. And the way he loves his son was by helping him try and be better. And it just didn't work. They're saying here Nick Reiner has pleaded guilty today to 2 counts of murder with special circumstances allegations of multiple murders and murders by means of lying in wait after the indictment was unsealed. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, a knife. He is scheduled for a pretrial hearing on September 15 in Department 108 of the Falls Criminal Justice Center. The indictment was returned on July 20. They're saying here on December 14, 2025, Rayner is accused of fatally stabbing Rob and Michelle at their home in the 200 block of South Chadbourne Avenue in Brentwood. Nick fled but was arrested later that evening at Exposition Park. If convicted as charged, he faces either death or life in prison. He'll never get out. If convicted, he'll never seek parole. There'll never be a parole date for him. Terrible. Let me see if I can find that indictment in full. Nick Reiner. Yes, I do have it. Sorry, it's white. I'm sorry, I can't make it a black background. Further separate cause actions in the same offense. Yep, says he murdered his father. What? Based on film, okay. There was no sex crime though. Interesting. Further to counts 1 and 2, the murders of Michelle and Robert were committed by the said defendant Nick, and that the defendant intentionally killed the victims by means of lying in wait. It is further alleged in counts 1 and 2 that in the commission or attempted commission of the above offense, that said defendant, Nick Reiner, personally used a deadly or dangerous weapon, aka a knife, and used not being an element of the above offense. Basically, it is a amplifier or multiplier charge here. It is further alleged to counts 1 and 2 that the said defendant was armed with or used a weapon at the time of the commission of the offense. And there's some of the penal codes that they're talking about. Yep. What else? Is that it? There's the indictment. So we learn a little bit more. Like we learned that it was a knife, and that lying in wait bit is quite interesting too. They often use that when they really want to hold someone in prison for a long time, even on a conviction. They'll often throw in that lying in wait charge. All enhancements that will get him an extra 20 years on top of one. No, well, the enhancement for that will actually remove any chance of parole. So that's what it says here in my notes, that should he be convicted and should that lying in wait charge be proven in a court of law, it actually removes the opportunity for him to have a parole date on the sentence. So most likely he would face a death penalty or life in jail without parole. There is no 20 years, 40 years, 30 years in this one. He would just be in jail for life or a death sentence. It is California. There is no death sentence as such. You can be sentenced to death, but there's a moratorium on the death penalty. And unless a governor changes it, then it's basically like getting life in jail. You may have that designation, and should it ever change between your, 50 years in jail, then you could be put onto death row, but there is no real executions that are done in California anymore. So, Sweetover said, lying in wait means he waited until they were asleep. Um, I don't know. Lying in wait can be used as like it can be used to describe that you ambushed them, that you gave them no chance of a defense. So it's like the most simple way you could look at it is like, say you were hiding behind a door and you were waiting for them to come home, and as soon as they came in that door, you attack them. That would be lying in wait because you're waiting there, waiting for the opportunity for the perfect time to attack. It can be for any situation. They could have been asleep. You could have been waiting for them to fall asleep and then you attack them and you were hiding like in their room or in a cupboard or behind a door frame. That is sort of how it's used, in a way. I don't know if they would have been asleep. Hold on, what time was it? Nick Reiner. Let me get you off this white page. There you go. Nick Reiner. What time of night was it? Can't remember. It was so long ago. Okay. Yeah, what time of night? Yeah, I'm just looking it up. I can't remember if it was evening, afternoon. Okay. He attacked his parents during the early hour morning of Sunday, the 14th of September. While the exact minute of the stabbing has not been made public due to seal autopsy, key timeline markers established by investigators include following a heated argument with his parents at a holiday party, surveillance footage captured Nick walking near his parents' Brentwood home. That's interesting. That was on Saturday night. Early Sunday morning, prosecutors allege Nick lay in wait at the residence and launched the surprise knife attack during the early hours of the morning. So, yeah, maybe they were. Maybe he was waiting outside, waiting for them to fall asleep, and then he decided to break in. Well, he probably had keys to get in, but he probably got into the home and then killed them. Um, hmm. The bodies were discovered later that afternoon by their daughter, Romy, prompting an emergency call at 3:38 p.m. in the afternoon. Their death certificates officially list their times of death as 3:45 p.m. and 3:46 p.m. respectively, reflecting when they were legally pronounced dead by responding emergency personnel. So it'll probably say it in the autopsy. If we ever get the autopsy, it'll probably tell you an estimated time of death, like what time it would be. He lived in the pool house, so he may or may not have had access to the main home. Maybe that's how his parents were keeping a distance between them, was like he lives in the pool house, but he's not allowed in the main home because they knew he was doing drugs and they knew he was using the pool house to do them. And his dad was really pissed off about it. His dad's like, you can live here, but you can't be doing drugs in the pool house. And according to what we heard, the father caught him multiple times either being high or actually actively doing drugs in the back pool house. A guest house, pool house. Yeah. What do they call it? I would have called it a pool house, but a guest house, same thing. Um, yeah, so I remember that his dad had warned him like multiple times, like, yeah, we'll help you, we'll give you a roof over your head, but you got to stay clean. Like, you can't be doing drugs here. And apparently, he was ignoring his dad like constantly. And the other thing is, he was asking his dad for money a lot. And his dad's like, I'm not giving you money if all you're going to do is go and buy drugs. And that may have been part of the friction too, that his dad didn't want to like financially give him more money, or could it be that the dad wanted him out of the pool house eventually because he wasn't sort of keeping to the family rules? Yeah. A lot of questions. They have kept this one pretty tight-lipped. We haven't got too many details from law enforcement yet. I think we've got a lot about the background of Nick, like who he is, what he went through, and what may have led to it. We don't have a lot about like the night in question, but we do know a lot about his life in general. Um, so Rob and Michelle were found stabbed to death in their master bedroom on December 14, and their son was arrested. Prosecutors allowed for preliminary hearing speed. Yep, we know that. Yeah, here. A former prosecutor said the prosecution's theory may be that he was lying in wait, concealing himself, waiting for his parents before launching the attack. Yeah, that's that lying in wait. You have to be sort of like hiding in a way. You have to be concealed, is a good word. It's almost like you're a ninja and you're waiting for that opportunity to attack them. Being Charlie, a drug story related. Yeah, like he made that movie too, Being Charlie. And if you watch it, it talks about like the father and Nick's relationship and how his drug addiction had changed their relationship between the father and the son. So this is interesting. In June, Reiner's civil attorneys filed a court petition to compel trustees to release at least $1.5 million from an independent trust fund established by his late parents for him. His lawyers argued that the money was meant to be paid out to him when he was 30, and that the money is needed for his legal defense. I'm sure the family feels great about that. Imagine that. Your parents, the people you're alleged to have killed, you want the trust fund that they put away from you, like they put away for you, and then obviously held from you after you were legally able to have it. They kept it away from you for a period of time, possibly because they didn't want you spending it all on drugs. And when you get caught for the crime of killing them, you want the $1.5 million or more that they put in there. I think that's gross. I think that's really gross that you now want your father's money to bail you out. So you want your father's money to put on a defense, the defense for killing him. I could see how the family might be really upset at him wanting that money. That's like saying, "Oh, yeah, I killed my dad because I hated him or whatever, but I still want his money." Like, it's really shows you, in my opinion, exactly what kind of guy he is. I mean, yeah, that's gross, really gross. Shows like parents. So I'm guessing, how old was he? How old was Nick Reiner? He's 32 years old. Apparently, he should have got that money when he was 30. Something tells me that there's a clause in that trustee appointment that one of the requirements for that trustee to give over the money to him when he turned 30 was that he was clean. I bet you. I bet you it's in there that he had to be clean. And I bet you when he wasn't at 30, the dad made it so that he didn't get the money. Um State he needs the funds to hire back private defense attorney Alan Jackson. So he's saying that he needs the money to get the lawyer. I think it's the one originally that his siblings were paying for. And he wants to get private defense attorney Alan Jackson back. Interesting. They did a 130-page probate filing, claims Nick was supposed to receive a mandatory distribution from the trust when he turned 30, 2 years prior to the filing. Trustee Paul Cannon withheld the funds due to concerns regarding Nick's capacity and competence to manage the money, tied to his history of substance abuse and mental health struggles. Yep, had a feeling that's why. I guarantee his dad would have put those in to make sure that he was clean when he got 1.5 million. You got stories about drunk parents? Hey, Callie girl. Where's Callie girl? Hey, good to see you. Kelly said, I knew Alan Jackson was dipping out because of money when he gave that speech all mad after the first appearance. Yeah, oh, that would have been it. He would have been brought on, and then when he wasn't getting paid, he would have been like, I'm out. I'm done. Yeah, let's see. Where is that? This will be very interesting when it goes to trial, eventually. I have a funny feeling it's going to be quite a long time. I think it'll get pushed eventually. Defense attorney. Nick Reiner says he needs unpaid money from his family trust to help him pay for for Alan Jackson. Yeah, okay. So Alan Jackson. Yeah, why did he withdraw? Yeah, there you go. Alan Jackson withdrew from representing Nick Reiner because he was not paid the multi-million-dollar defense retainer that he was promised. While Jackson initially stated in January 2026 that he was stepping down due to confidential circumstances beyond his control, subsequent court filings revealed exact financial details behind his sudden exit. According to court declarations filed by Jackson, he flew in immediately to take the case after receiving an urgent call when Nick was arrested. Jackson stated he was explicitly assured by the Reiner family representatives and Nick's sibling, Jack and Romy, that the substantial funds required to mount a high-level private defense would be provided. Those funds never materialized. So, um, so he ended up getting public defender Kimberly Green, but apparently he still wants Allen. And they're saying here that he is willing to come back and work on Nick's defense if the court grants access to his $1.5 million trust fund to pay the legal fees. Of course he would. I would too. Hey, you want to give me 1.5 million? I'll step back in too. Well, I guess he was lied to. I mean, I would feel I mean, no one's giving me 1.5 million, but I think I would feel pretty lied to too if like the family told me, "Hey, can you fly out to California, provide a defense for Nick, and we will organize the retainer, but it's going to take a few days to get like $2 million to give it to you. It's going to take a couple of days." And when that sort of turned into a month or so, and he still hadn't got the money, the retainer, he was like, "I'm out." I mean, I get it, but well, money is a conflict for him, obviously. Obviously. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know what a public defender would be able to. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. 1.5 million, just the retainer. Yeah, that is just the retainer. That is not the final bill. The final bill could be double or triple that 1.5 million. The retainer is just to get him going. That is just to make sure he has money to work for the next however long. He said he flew in, so maybe he lives in NorCal, SoCal. I'm not sure where he lives, but he said he flew in. So maybe he was out of state providing another client. I don't know. Where was he? Let's have a look. Yeah, it says he flew in. Yeah, it says he flew into. Just trying to see here. Yeah, it says here he flew in immediately to take the case. I don't know if they mean he flew in as in a like he was quick to take the case, or they mean he actually took a flight. But it says he flew in immediately to take the case after receiving an urgent call when Nick was arrested. So I don't know if that's like poor English. I'm not sure. All right. Oh, he was in Boston doing the that yeah, he's that guy. Oh, I hate that guy. Yeah, I remember when he was doing the Karen Reed trial. Yeah. Yeah, so that makes sense. All right. Some other guy did it. It's the guy in the dark clothing and holding a bag and wearing a hat. You know, have you ever noticed how when there's always a murder and someone gets caught for it, there's always like a mysterious dark man that no one can quite make out the face of. Happens every time. Condon said, "I have no idea what happened in the Karen Reed case." I'm good. I don't want to do the Karen Reed trial. I'm good. All right, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here for your Wednesday night. Hey, I love you all very much. I'll be back tomorrow. Yes, we'll be back tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow? I got no idea, but I'll have stories and updates for you then. Good night, everyone. Bye.